Hey, my name is Esteban, and today we'll be learning about Deno.js. So Deno.js is this new tool that allows you to run JavaScript and TypeScript in the server, and it's kind of similar of Node.js, but we have some difference. For example, Deno is secure by default. This means that you cannot run code without permissions in your computer or server, so you actually need to pass some flags to, for example, access the file system. Another feature is that Deno supports TypeScript by default out of the box, so you don't need any other compiler for having TypeScript. And another difference is that you use URLs for importing your libraries. That's different from Node. For example, in Node you have to have your package.json and your Node modules. So in Deno we don't use that. So let's just install Deno in our computers. For doing that, I'm going to use this command because I am on Mac OS, so I can use brew, and it shouldn't take that long to install Deno. It's now downloading the dependencies and now it's ready. So let's just check if we have Deno in our computer. For doing that, I'm going to run this version flag along with Deno, and as you can see we are in the version 1 at this moment. So let's now create a new folder. It's going to be called Deno REST API. So this is what we are going to be building today, a basic REST API with Deno, and let's just cd into that and you open VS Code from here. So we are now in the folder, and I'm going to create a new file called server.js. So Deno can support JavaScript and also can support TypeScript. So we can, for this example, we are going to use JavaScript. And what I want to have here is I want to have some Deno IntelliSense. So we have this package that this is the one that works best for me. So it's the second one right now, and this supports some IntelliSense for Deno. It's already enabled in my VS Code, but I actually need to add this Deno configuration in the workspace. So this will add this folder that has this configuration, and this tells VS Code that this project is going to be using Deno. Okay, so let's just try this server here that we have from the documentation, and let's see what we have here. So as you can see, for importing the serve, so this is from the core of Deno, we have to use the URL and we declare the version and what library we are using. And here we are just declaring a new instance of that server, and then we are logging this information and we are listening in that port. So let's just try that. So for running this, we use the Deno command and we use run, and then we pass the name of the file that we want to run. So as you can see, we have an error. So this is what I told you before, that Deno is secure by default. So we have this permission denied error, and it says that we need to use this flag. So this will allow us to run this command without any problem. So let's try that again. Deno run allow net, so because we are using the net here, and now the name of the file. I have a typo here, so I have to have another dash, and you can see that now we are listening in the port 8000. Okay, we have our hello world from Deno. So for building this application, let me just restart this to apply the configuration from here. So for running this application, I actually want to use this framework that's called OAK. So this framework is kind of similar to Express.js, and actually takes inspiration from the Koa node framework. So we have some router that we can use and another middlewares. And let's just I will be posting this in the description. So let's just use this code here instead of what we had before. And this is, let me just make this bigger. So this is basically we are just importing this application from the framework, and we are instantiating creating a new instance of that application. Then we are using a middleware. In this case, is only sending the response a hello world to the user. So let's try this again, but now hello world from OAK. And if we run this, you can see that we have this message and it's working. I just want to add a different log here, so we know that this is running. Deno server is running, and I want to pass this. I prefer to pass it like this, so it's more clear where this is coming from. So let's use the port 8000. Okay, so I actually want to use the router from the framework, so we can handle different methods and different paths. So for doing that, I'm going to declare a new instance of the router. So I'm just going to say router equals new router, and I'm going to use that router, app that use, and it's going to say router that routes. So this is going to enable all of our routes, and I also need to declare to allow methods. So this will allow all the methods in the router. Okay, I will going to remove this, and now I'm going to start declaring some endpoints. So we have some post, put, patch methods. So I'm going to first use the get one, and first we need to pass the route, and the route is going to be the root for now, and then we have to pass the middleware. So it's going just to be a function that's going to say hello world, and let's now declare the function. It's called hello world, and this function has some context that we can use, and the context object has this response property that we can use. And let's just say respond that body is going to be hello from the router. Okay, so we have that. We're using the router. We are declaring a new path, and I'm going to restart the server. And as you can see, this is working. So we have the root and we are using the router. Okay, so for this REST API, I want to have this API for querying movies. So you actually might need to use a database for this, but I'm going just to have this in memory, and let's declare this a default value. So movies equals, and it's going to be an array, and each movie will have an ID, and we'll also have a name. So the name of this movie is called Parasite. Let's add another movie, so we can have 2 ID 2, and the name is going to be The Irishman. Okay, we have 2 movies, and I'm going to create so we can chain this router, and we can have different methods. So this route is going to be called movies. So this is the route, and the function is going to be get movies. We have declared the router, and I need to declare the function to query the movies. So I'm going to also access the context, and we have the response, and we can say response that body equals movies. So this is going to return the movies when we call this route. So let's start the server again, and we can check that this should be working. Movies. Okay, so I have an extension, so I have this format for JSON, and we can see that we are returning the movies. Okay, so I'm going to add another endpoint. So this is going to be for each individual movie. So we will have something like get movie, and the path is going to be movies. And for having a param, we use this syntax, and we can say ID. So we are querying by ID, and we also going to have a get movie method for retrieving the movie. Okay, so let's write that function. Let's add it here. So we're going to have function get movie, and we can also again access the context, but we are going to access another property of the context that's called params. So this will provide the params that we are passing here, and we also going to use the response. Okay, so I first want to have the ID from the params, and the ID is going, because this is coming, this ID we can access like this, but this actually is a string, so we need to parse that because we're using numbers here. So let's just use parse int and pass the value. So we have the ID, and now we need to find the movie in our array. So for doing that, I'm just going to say const movie equals, and I'm going to find that ID in the movies array. I can say find, I'm just using a array method, and we can have for a callback for every movie, and I'm going to find the movie that ID equals the ID. So we are finding the movie in our array, and what happens if the movie is not found? So we might need to return a 404 for that. So if we don't have the movie, we are going to say response that status. The status is going to be 404, and response that body is going to be an object that's going to be transformed to JSON. And let's say message movie was not found. So this is in case the movie is not the ID does not belong to any movie. So, and we want to stop the execution of this function. Otherwise, we're going to say response that status equals to 100, and response that body equals our movie that we already find here. So we have our endpoint and we have our function. So let's test that out, and I'm going to restart the server, and I'm going to have, so this keeps working, and I'm going to add an ID here. It's going to be 2, and there we have it. We have a single movie. And what happens if we pass a different ID? So we should have a not found error. So there it is. We have the error, the response. Okay, so we have 2 endpoints, and I now want to add a different one. So this one is going to be for posting, adding new movies to this. So this one is going to be, the road is going to be the same, movies, but the function is going to be add movie. Okay, let me just configure this. So print width is going to be 80. Okay, so we have it nice like this. So I'm using pretty for formatting, and I just changed the configuration to fit the screen. Okay, so we declare the add movie function, and we have to declare the function here, add movie, and we also have access to the context. So the context in this case is going to we will have a request that will have a body, and we want to use also the response. And we can say something like const movie. Actually, we don't receive the movie. We receive the body first, and this is going to, and for this case we need to use async function, because for this case we're going to await for the response, await and the request, sorry, and the request that body. And in this case we want to use this as a method because we need to transform this to JSON. So this is how we transform that, with invoking this as a method, and we have the body and our value. So we can say value equals the body. So we are just accessing the value from the body. So this is the way that this is returned. and we can say const movie. This is the movie that we are going to add. It's going to have an ID, and the ID is going to be movies that length +1. So we have a number that's going to be unique in this case, and the name is going to be value that name. So this is what we are going to pass to this, and we can say movies that push, and we can push the movie, and as a result we can say response that status equals 200, and response that body, it can be the movie. So we are just returning the movie back to the user. Okay, we have that. And for posting this, I'm going to use Insomnia. Insomnia is a tool that allows you to debug APIs, and it's really nice. It's free. You can download it, and I'm just going to open Insomnia here. Okay, so we can start querying. So the path that I want, let's just test this. So we have the get endpoint movies, and we are not running that in this port. We are running this in the port 8000. Let's run this and test, and there we have our movies endpoint. And what we want to do here is we want to post movies, and for doing that we are going to pass JSON, and the movie is going to be called, let's say, Aladdin. Okay, so we are passing the name, and we are using the post method. So if we send that, you can see that we have that return, so it's working. And we can query to see if we have all three. So there we have it. We have the 3 movies in our memory. Okay, so we have that for adding, and we can add another one that's going to be a put method, and this one is going to be movies, and we are going to pass the ID. So we want to target the movie that we want to update, and this is going to call update movie that we don't have yet. So let's declare that function. So we can say async function update movie, and what we want to use here is we want to use the request from the user, the response, so we can send, and we also have to access the params so we can access the ID. Okay, we have the function, and let's just copy this code. So we are going to have the same behavior here, and we can say, so we are just parsing the ID, we are finding the movie, and if the movie does not exist, we can respond with 404, and that's for that. But we actually need to update the movie for the user, and for doing that we can say have the same as here. So we have the body and the value from the user. We are awaiting that, and we can say that the movies that the const updated, so this will be the updated movie, equals, so we can have the ID is going to be the same as this one. It's going to have the same ID, and the name is going to be the value that name. So this has the updated movie, and for changing that into our array, we can say movies equals, so we are replacing the variable with the updated one, and we can say movies that map, so we can map for the array, and we can say if movie that id is the same as the id of the request, we are going to return the updated movie. Otherwise, we are going to return the movie as it was before. So this is how we are updating in the movies array. We are just mapping and checking if it's the one that we care about. Otherwise, we are going to return the same movie. And we are going to do the same as here. Response equals 2200, and the body is going to be the updated movie. So we have declared our function that's going to update the movie. Let's test it. And let me run the server. So we have these movies, and let's say we added this one. We added Aladdin, but we have a typo here, and there we have it. So we can correct this, but running a put method here, and we can correct this, and there we have it. So we are using the put method, and it's working, as you can see here. So let's change this one. So we can say that we want to change the one with name old boy. So we have changed that, and we can query again to see if that worked. Yeah, it's working. So we have our put endpoint, and we only now need the delete method. So we can say the same as here, but here we are going to have a method called delete movie that we don't have yet, and we are going to say async function delete movie, and we are going to use the params and the response from the context, and we are going to have the same as here. So we find for the movie, and if we don't find it, we return 404. And for removing the movie, we are going to say movies equals movies dot filter, and we are going to filter if the movie that ID is different than the ID that is passing in the request. And if this works, we are going to respond with 200, and we can respond with the ID, so the user knows what he deleted. So let's try this out. We are going to restart the server again, and the server is running, and we can use the delete, and let's say we're going to delete the second one. So I just passed that, and you can see that it returned the number. So let's check if it's working, and let's check the list, and you can see that we only have one in this case because we deleted the second one. So yeah, that's basically it. we have our basic REST API, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribe to the channel so we can have more videos, and see you next time.